Sogle amche CCR TV polenarank, my mogaco yokar. Welcome. We welcome you to this program entitled Involve Persons with Disabilities in Church Activities. The Archbishop of Goa and Daman, Philip Neri Cardinal Fernandes, has asked all parishes to create a database of persons with disabilities. We call them in short as PWD, not this Public Works Department, because the W in between is a lowercase. So, database and develop a plan to ensure their full participation in church activities. The Archbishop also wants parishes to make church buildings and websites accessible to persons with disabilities and, very importantly, encourage them to be involved in roles like altar servers and choir members. There are also other programs and measures, and this include sensitization programs, training in sign language, assisting people with disabilities in accessing employment opportunities and government's aid. These proposals, which the Archbishop has listed, have already been prepared by Caritas Goa in consultation with the clergy, religious and lay faithful. And all this great work that has been done has been undertaken under the direction of the Caritas Goa director, none other than Father Maverick Fernandes. Father Maverick, welcome to be with CCR today on this important program launched by the Archbishop.
Thank you.
Now, we talk about this program. It is a significant move towards ensuring greater participation of people with disabilities in church activities. And therefore, Archbishop Philip Neri Cardinal Fernandes has requested all parishes to create a database of such persons and formulate a parish plan to ensure their full participation. So the number one step, Father Maverick, I think, to create a database of all these persons.
Yeah.
Since the church is now going to have a new parish councils, and they will also be asking for the roles and preparations, could this database also be added, and whenever people go to ask their names and their details like age and all that, could also this be incorporated in that, so that in one visit you accomplish two tasks?
Yeah. See, every parish is expected to have its database of the parishioners. There have been numerous exercises conducted by the parishes in different times. What we require to do very specifically now, as part of this appeal from the Archbishop through his circular, to showcase this number specifically of people with disabilities, and the number of disabilities and the specific type of disability. Once we have that, all the proposals that have come in through the circular of the Archbishop will be able to attend to them and address those issues more categorically. So the first part is, as the parishes are engaged in doing the exercise of collecting data in the reorganization of their parish pastoral councils, it would be very encouraging if they also enlist, together with this, who are the people with disabilities, what is their age, what are their capacities, what is the type of disabilities. That will give an understanding of what services can be extended to them, how they can be assisted in their life, and in also thinking about their livelihoods.
We have the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. Now, this is a law passed by the Parliament to fulfill its obligations under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and it was ratified by India in 2007. The Act replaces the Persons with Disabilities Act 1995, and this was originally published in 27 December 2016. The new legislation is in place now, and the Act lays stress on non-discrimination, full and effective participation and inclusion in society, respect for difference and acceptance of disabilities as part of human diversity and humanity, accessibility, equality between men and women, respect for the right of children with disabilities, and respect for the right of children with disabilities to preserve their identities. So the principle reflects a paradigm shift in thinking about disability from a social welfare concern to a human rights issue. To summarize, the 2016 Act, it has expanded from 7 to 21 conditions. As I have said, there was an earlier Act of 1995. It had only 7 disabilities, but now there are 21 conditions. I will specify them: cerebral palsy, dwarfism, muscular dystrophy, acid attack victims, hard of hearing, speech and language disability, specific learning disabilities, autism spectrum disorders, chronic neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, blood disorders like hemophilia, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, multiple disabilities, and mental retardation has been replaced by intellectual disability. Now, when we talk of employment, persons with benchmark disabilities, they have been defined, and those with at least 40% of any earlier mentioned disabilities are entitled to for employment purposes. The basic concept which I must salient and congratulate our Archbishop and the Church is based on the fact that no person with disabilities shall be discriminated on the ground of disability unless it is shown that the impugned act or omission is a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim, and no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty only on the ground of a disability. Father Maverick, you have initiated this proposal, and sensitizing faithful to use disability appropriate language will be quite a task for you. Do you have already a plan? Of course, it will evolve, but then you are the backbone of this program to be launched.
See, one thing we have got to realize, this Act has given or showcased the issues of people with disability. Earlier, it was considered in a very charity model or a very welfare-oriented model. This Act has also brought it very strongly that the people with disabilities have got rights, and they have to be honored, respected and actualized for them. So it is not something, an option, it is an obligation for the society to look at recognizing the rights of disability. So from that context, even the language that we use, the terms that we used have to be corrected. And the Act brings in this very forcefully, that the appropriate language, appropriate terms have to be used. Otherwise, we will not respect the rights of the person. We will be only caught up within the peripheries of giving it within the context of the welfare orientation. So the language, the terminology referring to people with disabilities is very crucial to respect the rights of people with disabilities.
You talk about appropriate representation of such people in pastoral councils. How does that work, Father?
See, there is a very basic principle in the field of disability. One of the things is that they say, nothing for us without us. if that is so, if we are not going to consult them, not just consultation, make them part of the decision making of what we are wanting to do along with them, then it is a big block if we are not engaging them within the structures of our decision making bodies. So engaging them within the Parish Pastoral Council is a very specific and a path-breaking initiative for us as a church in Goa that we are wanting to adopt, to say that nothing for you without you. It has to be with you, for you.
Father Maverick, that would mean sensitizing the faithful to use disability appropriate language. You have lots of work on your hands and on your shoulders.
Good things, people keep joining us to do this work. I've had already programs conducted in several parishes. Very appreciative. People are saying that we never knew this dimension of our faith, and this is part of our faith. That is what we insist in our introduction when we conduct these sessions, that everybody has to be inclusive. Now the whole discussion began about we adopting as a church when Archbishop took this initiative and requested us to come up with proposals of how we can implement things in our diocese. The context was the synodality of the synod that is happening. Because in that context, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, says nobody should be left out. So if nobody should be left out, also the persons with disability have to be included. And in that context, we said, how they should be included? Because if we are talking about inclusion of persons with disability, it has to be first structural, then we can have it implemented. And therefore, the implementation as far as sensitization also opens up a bigger pastoral challenge for all of priests and people in the leadership in the church, to see how do we address this aspect of pastoral concern to persons with disability.
So organizing these programs on different aspects of disabilities, how long more or less you think?
No, it has to be an ongoing process.
Yes.
Because it is not just one session you give to the parish and then people are sensitized. There are different methods that we'll have to use, different means like this we have to use, so that people are more sensitized into engaging with people with disabilities and implementing programs for persons with disabilities.
The Act also talks about women and children with disabilities. They must enjoy their rights equally with others.
Yeah.
So the emphasis also for women and the children.
Yeah, because see what happens, they are doubly disadvantaged. When it is children, women, they are doubly disadvantaged. Because already as a society, women are kept aside. Children are not considered. When they are disabled, it is still worse. So in that context, we are saying, if everybody has to be included, children, women have to be also finding a priority in our work of working for disability.
The Archbishop has talked about educational institutions, that they must provide inclusive education to children with disabilities, provide education and also sports opportunities and recreation activities equally with others. Further, the Archbishop says, make buildings, campuses and various facilities accessible to the persons with disabilities.
Yeah. So our schools have to be primarily accessible for children. In this context, I want to share one. We have a center in Saligaon. It is for deaf-blind children and young adults. This center is designed very specifically for people with disability, particularly for deaf-blind. So the whole idea when we set up this institution in 2018, the thought behind us was a child or a young adult with deaf-blindness should be able to function in that institution on their own, without any assistance. So there a lot of thinking went into this about how the flooring should be, how the wall tiling should be, how the lighting has to happen. So today, a young adult or a child can just be left at the doorstep of our institution and they can maneuver through the whole institution
On their own.
This is what we are talking about, accessibility. This is exactly models created for people to understand.
So you are far ahead already.
We have ventured into that already. so that people understand that this is what accessibility means.
Yes.
Then they are able to maneuver through the whole place on their own without any assistance. Assistance becomes another added way by which they can enhance their skills. So this is what we are talking through accessibility.
Archbishop also talks about ensuring that those who teach catechism are familiar with the sign language. So the sign language now gets its importance.
Yeah, what we have done already, I would like to share this. We have already engaged with two of our prominent colleges in St. Xavier's College and Rosary College, where their staff have asked for training in sign language. Now this is what we want to open up to our catechists, so that we have at least catechists trained in sign language. This would help also our masses in the parishes. At least one mass in the parish, whether there is a disabled or not disabled. Because it is not just persons with disability. In the course of time, people with their old age go hard of hearing. Sign language, if they understand, at least some clue of what is happening is communicated to them. So it's not just persons born with disability. People begin to acquire disability. People begin to get disabled because of their age.
Yeah.
So we are looking at a comprehensive.
So very senior citizens,
yeah,
for
very,
example.
very senior citizen. Yeah, we are looking at a comprehensive way by which disability has to be addressed,
And
that's why we are talking about
I
this.
think
actually.
telecasting masses in sign language would be a great help, like I think the CCRTV is already doing it. And if you look at the Portuguese channels, for all their news telecast, there is always the sign language along with that.
So this is the sensitization of people who are already working with people with disability that has to continue.
Yeah. When we talk of Archdiocese Board of Education, the Archbishop has asked them to create facilities through special education schools and through resource rooms in regular educational institutions, including vocational training centers for children and young adults with disabilities.
Yeah.
This is quite a huge shift in the paradigm.
Yeah, it is because, see, when we are talking about rights, it's not just educational right. Right to livelihood also is important there. When we have our schools with resource rooms, they'll be getting only the education right respected and honored. We have to also think about their livelihood. How are they going to sustain themselves? How are they going to fend for themselves? Their parents will not always be with them. So how they can be made independent? This is something which we need to look at. How our institutions also build up infrastructure to look at not just education per se, but also education for livelihood education.
So they'll have to incorporate this component now.
They have to, because that is what will be giving the right to a person, honoring the rights of persons with disability.
You have done great work, Father Maverick, and now you are supposed to set up a diocesan resource team to address issues concerning with people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Quite a huge task. Are you already set that in motion?
Yeah, we have already identified persons. We are still identifying more people. We want to pick them up from different fields who are sensitized to this aspect about disability, who can help the diocese in different ways to energize and enhance their infrastructure. Also implement the proposals that the Archbishop has given, particularly about the infrastructural facilities. Our churches have to be accessible. Our institutions have to be accessible. Our halls have to be accessible. So this is what we are trying to see, where our resource room can help us in doing this aspect about.
So you are already
we've got it.
ahead with the same thing. When we talk of reservation of employment, now you'll have to educate your people in the Act itself, because they will have to learn what the Act says, because reservation of employment not less than 4% of total number of vacancies. 1% of reservation is for benchmark disabilities. A lot of terminology, Father, that you'll have to educate and train. Are you ready to go ahead with this training program?
So it is an evolution of what we have, from where we have come to where we are going and what we want to achieve. This is benchmark disabilities are very important to be addressed. Deaf blindness is one of the benchmark disabilities where we have already been initiated this work for the past 11 years. So we know what benchmark.
So you are already aware of all
this. We have
this.
people who have already running their own grocery stores, who are deafblind.
Is it?
Who are involved in chocolate making, who are involved in other smaller activities of income generation. So this is what we are saying. How can we enhance this? How everybody can come together?
Yeah,
and
because
move ahead.
they talk about this, especially with blindness and low vision, deaf and hard of hearing, locomotor disability, autism, intellectual disability, and multiple disabilities.
Yes.
Is this what you are referring to?
Yeah, because for we are also, I would just like to share this. We are one of the few organizations, I am not aware of any other,
Yes,
which works also in home-based service for persons with disabilities, where multiple disabilities come into picture.
yeah, yeah.
And we are also looking at how these can have access to livelihood options. Because if we are reaching out to them in their homes, we have to also see how they can at the home be able to earn for themselves. So this is what we are trying to work out through some of our programs that we have already initiated.
You talked about already working in this direction.
Yes.
How successful have you been, and did you meet with any difficulties?
Success, I would like to share this particular case. One person we had supported with some seed money to set up a grocery store. He now wants to set up a ice cream parlor. So we see the growth in this person, that is ambitious now, he's done something. So these are things which we find that also energizes us to look at other options, how we can respond to more in a wider way.
Yeah, yeah. The core of this subject is that people with disabilities enjoy the right to equality, life with dignity, and respect for his or her own integrity equally with the others. Is this happening in Goa?
It has to happen. It is not happening as much as it needs to happen. There are people within the state who are struggling for this accessibility. When we are talking about accessible, if a child moves out from its house, the buses are not accessible if they want to take the bus. The height of the bus is so high, the child has to be lifted up. It is not that one way. If you want to get a wheelchair inside the buses are not wheelchair friendly. The ramps are not available. Gradually, some efforts are being done by the government, which is appreciable. This has to be a standard practice because it is their right. There are some positive aspects which the government has been initiating. The Commission for Persons with Disability also have taken very positive interventions in this field, very appreciating, but it has to increase. And the church in Goa, through this circular, has to look at its own role as citizens of this society and implement a lot of more programs so that we support each other to grow, particularly as their rights.
The number of these people with disabilities is on the rise. More and more people are found with disabilities now. Is it correct?
Well, the thing is, I would not say they are more, but they are being recognized. Earlier, they were just kept home without being spoken about. You know, some of the cases that we had when our staff went to their homes, they were tied inside because the parents had to go for work. So they were not even recorded as persons with disability. With this lot of work happening through various organizations, they are being recognized as being present in the society, and therefore their numbers are being counted. People begin to think the numbers are growing. It is not so. People are being recognized now. They are being registered now, and therefore the numbers are appearing higher.
Yeah. So also I think you will have to identify priests and seminarians to be trained to celebrate masses in sign language and to assist masses in the archdiocese.
Yeah, before I come to this, I would also like to say on the earlier point. See, earlier there were just 7 types of disabilities. Now there are 21 types of disabilities, which you have mentioned earlier. So those disabilities were not even registered. Only 7 types. And therefore, once this 21 have started being registered, boards are being formed for that. Now the numbers are growing, and therefore it looks that the disability has grown. It is only the recognition of their different types of disability has been registered. So therefore, the numbers are growing.
Yeah. We are
Coming
talking
back to
about
the-
priests and seminarians
Yeah.
to be trained.
So this is something which is we have got to identify young seminarians, young priests who want to. Very recently, we have utilized the services of one of a sign language interpreter for the formation of the marriage course. Not a priest, a young lady. But what I'm trying to say is that now we have also the marriage formation courses
Yes.
which are signed out. So people with disability, particularly those who are hearing impaired, can attend the normal course of the normal functioning of the marriage formation course, and the information exactly that goes on to everybody is also going to them.
So that I think is the work of the Diocesan Family Service Center, because they will have to form a team of priests or laymen qualified in each zone and prepare persons with disabilities for marriage.
Yeah.
It's quite a tough task.
So this is what it was to be happening sporadically from different people approaching us privately doing this. But we said it should not be only a one-to-one issue. It has to be a general aspect where people with hearing impaired have got also the normal formation of marriage courses.
Marriage courses. Yeah.
So this is already started.
Yeah.
The director of Family Service Center was very open to introduce this in the last formation courses.
Yeah, I have a neighbor. Both of them are deaf and dumb, and their daughter is not so.
We don't use this term deaf and dumb.
Okay.
They have to be called hearing impaired
Hearing impaired.
or speech impaired.
Yeah.
So these are the terms.
So the terminology
So what we
is
were
also
talking
changing.
earlier, as far as the terminology,
Yes.
we should avoid these terms which are
Like mental retardation
Yeah.
is replaced by intellectual disability. We in the past, during the Portuguese days, we had mental hospital. No longer we say that
Yeah,
mental hospital. What about such people? The number, maybe they have not been recognized, but there are people with a lot of intellectual
Yeah.
disabilities in Goa.
See, one thing, we should not confuse people with intellectual disability with people with mental illness. That's a separate total category. Our discussion is more of people with disabilities.
Okay.
Mental illness is a
Is
different
a
category.
totally different.
So it is more of human behavior and
Yes.
other illnesses. So that
Yes.
we don't categorize within this.
Also, the Archbishop talks about providing support system for families having people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Could you throw some light on this? Because I think we are quite in the initial stage.
Yeah. So what we are saying is that if families, what happens is that many times families are overburdened taking care of some respite care to be created within the parishes. If the parent wants to have a short break or a day's break even, there's someone who can come and support them. This support systems to be created at the parish level, this is what we are talking. If the parish can afford to also sustain some of the financial needs of the family, that is what we are talking. So some support in some way, because it's quite a burdensome issue when a child with disabilities is in the family. The needs are quite high. The demands also are quite high. The medical attention has to be given quite high. So this costs a lot. And when the families are unable to sustain themselves in the normal course of time, it is better that the family is assisted by the parish or some organization, but the parish to make it available to support them in this. This is what we are saying, support to the families.
But you need to give special attention to the needs and concerns of the people with disabilities.
Yeah.
How would you go on?
See, needs, when we are saying to see what are the needs of the, whether it's a education need, a livelihood need, medical support systems, assistance to help the parents get the child registered, get the benefits that are available from the government, to get them accessed for that. So these are different types of needs that are existing. So we have to see what are the needs. So the primary thing that I would like to say to everybody today here is, if a child is there which is having disability, the first thing is to get the child identified. What is the disability?
Yes.
Get the registration done so that the government certification is there, the type of disability. That will help the family to also access some of the schemes of assistance which are available with the government. Before we do anything else, the first step we have got to do is identify, get the child certified what the disability is. Whether it's a child, adult, which has not happened so far, young adult, old adult, get them registered. What is the type of disability? That will help them to also access some assistance from the government. This is the first step everybody across we have got to do.
So you have now about 21 disabilities. So you'll have to train people to identify and report to you.
Identification in the sense that we have got to, if there is some benchmark they are lacking in something, this is a first step to see that they are brought before the IPHB for certification. There are different places in at MAPSA we have got the DIC, at Marga we have got to DIC, the district early intervention centers which are doing this certification. So once we notice a child with some disabilities, we have to straight away take them to the doctor there, or your family doctor can give a letter saying that the child has to be assessed for the type of disability that may possibly be existing. Then the certification takes place.
So to identify all this, maybe
layperson cannot identify. Layperson may not be able to.
Maybe you will need some counselors or somebody.
Yeah, the special educators can do this work in the schools. Teachers in the resource rooms in the inclusive informal schools, they can do this work. So they can refer the child for.
You already have special educators
yes.
in your schools. Could you throw more light on that?
Our schools receive receive children only after they get certification. So and then they follow up. In one program, what we do is we help them get certified, so that they do this. Particularly the one that we have a program for deaf blindness, they go to the homes, look at it, and then get them certified. So this is from our side, but everybody in the parish across has to do this work to see if the child is disabled, get them first certified on what type of disability. That will give them also the type of, the level of their disability, because accordingly then they get access to some funds from the government, the schemes that exist. People have to.
So there are a lot of schemes.
There are some schemes which are.
Maybe you will have to increase the awareness.
Yeah. So those schemes have to be accessed.
Yeah.
There are a lot of schemes people have not accessed it. And they, before we even think about other schemes, these are first have to be explored.
Yeah. So you'll have to create awareness through your special educators and the others.
Yeah, across people have to get.
Yeah. Now you talked about the school in Saligaon. Yeah. Do you have another institutions in Goa?
We have, we are the pioneers, the church in Goa through Caritas Goa are pioneers in the field of education for disability. We have completed 45 years this year of our school at Old Goa, St. Xavier's Academy. The whole institution, the training cum production center. So past 45 years we are doing this work.
45 years?
Yes.
And what is the intake like?
We have around 300 students.
300 students.
So, and then we also have a hostel facility for them. There are boys, girls in the hostel. Plus a lot of children come from their homes. So this is what we have, the strength of our children there. Besides, we have also another center in Margaon, Borda, for deaf blind. Another center we've got, like Saligaon, for North Goa, one North Goa, and then one for South Goa. For disability, we have also seen that we had taken care of children, young adults. There was a component of people who were adults with disability was lacking. So from 2016, we have started this home called Divya Sadan in Porvari. It is particularly meant for adult intellectually disabled persons. So that's why we function as a different under a different model called the large communities, where people with abilities and disabilities live together and develop their living together.
So you are quite far ahead, I must say. Yeah, you are doing excellent job. And the problem of senior citizens now, especially you talk about Alzheimer's, dementia and Parkinson, and also that the senior citizens today are left on their own because their children may not be with them, don't have the time. So do you also look after these people?
Could you raise this issue? Because we run a program for the past now 18 years we are doing this for Caritas Goa home nursing services that we provide. And incidentally, more than 80% of the persons that we provide assistance to in their families are people with dementia, which is a growing issue. And in fact, it is getting recognized, as I would like to say it, because earlier also people had dementia, but it was not recognized as dementia. People were not aware of it, first of all. So now with the awareness, people can pinpoint that this is dementia. Doctors also are pointing out that it is dementia. So there are 80% of our persons that we serve in homes, particularly those who don't have their children here, their family members here, they are settled abroad. Those are the families that we are providing services in their homes.
Yeah.
So it is, we are not encouraging them to be placed in aged homes, but we are providing them services within the homes.
Most of them are reluctant when you talk of home for the aged.
Certainly.
So they are not very happy. And therefore, you provide this excellent service, I must say. What does it take for somebody to become a qualified home nurse?
We conduct 1 year full training course.
1 year course.
1 year course.
Is it recognized?
It's a recognized course by the government of Goa. The exams are conducted by the government of Goa. So a certification comes from the government. And then we afterwards only place those who are trained with us. We don't just send anyone there, because we have the confidence of whom we are sending to the families. We cannot take a risk by sending anybody, because it's the health of a person. So we are very confident of whom we send to the homes of people. So they go through a 1 year training program, and then we provide these services.
But yet I was told that a very big list.
Yes.
You cannot immediately provide them.
It is. That's the situation, because there are a lot of people who are providing these services are charging them enormous amounts.
Yeah. Earlier people would get nurses from Kerala through the Red Cross, no longer so. They cannot meet the demand. Yet there are institutions in Goa who are charging exorbitant fees for rendering this
the
home
vulnerability of people's need is being exploited here sometimes, and this is very sickening that is taking place. And therefore we wanted to do that. We give employment to people, train them well, give them employment. At the same time, we serve in a dignified, decent income that the qualified person gets, and also service that the family can get.
Where do you have this school based?
We have it in Aldona.
In Aldona?
St. Bridget's Home Nursing Institute.
Okay.
So that's where we get them trained.
And the program runs from which month to which month?
It's a full year. It starts in the month of July.
July.
Yeah.
So that means the program for this year is on already.
It's already on.
And how many students do you have?
We have around 22 students for this year. We can take more, but this is exactly one side. We have a demand which is there, but the students doing this course, our numbers are still wanting.
Yeah. Well, why do you think there is?
People have to come to serve and earn for themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's a noble profession, I would say.
Yeah. Once they start doing the course, they very enjoy it and they want to continue with it.
You are talking about your St. Xavier's Academy in Old Goa. I remember that this year or last year they had a 100% pass percentage in the SSC examination.
Past almost 10-12 years we have got
100%. How do you have been able to manage such an excellent result every year almost?
What happens, this special school have got lesser students in the class, so more concentration can happen. The teaching methodology is different, so that full attention can be given to the students. So they are well prepared for this. That's how it's seen in the results.
Yeah. And you have qualified teachers for that.
Yeah, we have to employ only qualified teachers. We cannot employ anybody.
Yes. Now we talk about doing something after something happening, for example, dementia, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Do you have any programs for prevention of this type of problems?
See, we conduct courses or rather awareness programs for dementia, for families who have got already people with dementia, people who want to know about dementia. So these are the courses that we conduct, awareness courses we conduct at different times in different places, so that people are aware how they can, what lifestyles they have to adopt, how they have to prevent these type of diseases for themselves.
So that is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. Yeah. And what are your future plans?
we don't want to say them all over here, but we have something which can open up for people with this type of issues of dementia and other things.
Yeah. But so that means this is not something new for you.
No.
It's just a continuation of the program. But the principle now, as the Archbishop has said, it reflects a paradigm shift in thinking about disability from a social welfare concern to a human rights issue.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Exactly. That is what we've got to focus on. No? It's no longer welfare, it's the rights of people. Everybody has been created in the image and likeness of God. So as much as rights that I have, as much as rights the child with disability should have. Nobody should compromise on these things. The rights have to be made, have to be honored.
If you want these children with disabilities to come to the church, they may have a problem of transportation from their residence to the chapel or the church. Will you look also into this aspect?
So this is what we are saying, the parishes have to take responsibility for this.
So the parishes will have added work.
Not added, it's only being sensitized.
Okay.
People always travel to the church. It's only opening another seat for another person to travel to the church. So being sensitive will make them aware that I have to extend my hand to reach out to the one who is in need. That's all that we.
For all this, you will need more finances to carry on this program and all that.
For good work, finances has never been an issue, I think so.
Yes.
So
God
provides for that.
Yes, God provides. Do people get involved in this type of financial needs?
Certainly. People, when they know and see the need of it, people come very, very generously to support this type of work.
Yes.
And that's why we're saying that the parishes will not lack in terms of financial difficulties, because people will be sensitized more and see the need as a right of a child. Then people will come forward.
Do you feel that the government has provided facilities in terms of employment for such people?
Yeah, there is a provision with the government. There are percentages that have to be been employed.
So it is being implemented, at least in Goa.
There are attempts for that.
Yeah, because there was one case in the university, and somebody who was denied.
So there are difficulties also which people are facing which don't have that.
So they are being looked into.
From the government side, government has to take care of that.
But then you all
people
also
can also demand for it and
get all the facilities. Because unless there is a greater awareness, it will be difficult.
Once the law is there, then they have to see that the law is implemented.
But most people, as you say, need to be sensitized on what is available and the methodology how to get there.
Because what happens, sometimes people even in the very senior position in the government have very little information about people with disability. Some of the comments that they pass when we go to ask certain things, some of the comments that they pass to families with children with disability are very sickening. It looks like they have not even known that there are people with disabilities, and this is our anguish.
It is.
And we have got to be more sensitized.
So we are talking about laying stress on non-discrimination, full and effective participation, and inclusion in society, respect for difference and acceptance of disabilities as part of human diversity and humanity, accessibility, equality between men and women, respect for the right of children with disabilities. We lay stress on these aspects. We hope that Father Maverick, we are doing human service for all the disabled people and also for the others, and may under the direction of our Archbishop Cardinal Fernandes continue doing this splendid work. May God bless you still more and be in active service for the people with disabilities. Thank you very much for being with CCR TV.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to share a few things.
It's important. We must disseminate as much as possible so that everybody feels that they are part of this new legislation and the new directives of our Archbishop.
Yeah.